Now, some of you don't know who this guy is, but United Kingdom, had his funeral this weekend. His name is Dr. Stephen Hawking, one of the most brilliant minds of our generation, perhaps one of the most brilliant minds of all time. Stricken with Lou Gehrig's disease, a brilliant mind in a body that will not cooperate. But he asked and answered questions some of you and I will never even think to ask. Brilliant beyond measure. But here's the story of Stephen Hawking's life. You can be brilliant and still miss the meaning of life. You see, it's not smart people that get into heaven, it's real people. So Stephen Hawking believes that there's no such thing as God. I want you to know that. He doesn't believe that anymore. Because he stood in front of the God who does not exist, and he was accountable for the life that he lived, listen to me, and the story he left behind. So what's the story? Stephen Hawking says we're just an advanced breed of monkeys. That's all we are. And we wonder why our young people today act like animals. Well, that's what they're being taught in school. You're just an animal. We're just an advanced breed of monkeys on a minor planet. Earth isn't even that special. Think of the difference between what he says and what Genesis says. Genesis chapter 1 says that God created an amazing place. Everything about the earth is good, awesome, right, and true. He says it's just average. It's amazing that a man who can't manifest enough strength to get out of a chair would criticize God who spoke and the heavens came into being. I don't want to minimize the amazingness of his life. He's incredible, but he's wrong. A minor planet on a very average star. Have you ever looked at a sunset and went, I could do better? He says, but we can understand the universe, and that makes us something very special. What makes you special is not your mind. What makes you special is that you are loved. Every single one of you are not monkeys that belong in a zoo. You're children that belong home in heaven with God. That's where you belong. All right. Now, if you know this next guy, you really need to pay attention to the invitation at the end because you may not be headed to the place you think you're going. How many of you know this guy? Yeah, all the sinners. Whoa. Whoa. If you don't know who this guy is, you might be going to heaven. Did you know that Hugh Hefner, founder of Playboy magazine, was raised in a Christian home? He was raised in a Christian home. But you know what he decided? It's just a story. It's just a story. It's just a myth. It's just a fairy tale. And he decided not to follow his mind. He followed his desires, which is what the world says you're supposed to do. Follow your heart. What could go wrong? You know, it's amazing how much counseling we have to do at Sandals Church for people who just follow their hearts. Isn't it amazing how broken our lives can become when we follow our hearts? It's amazing how much hurt and pain is brought into the world in the name of love. It's amazing how much heartache can be brought into your life in the name of happiness. Everyone's life is a story. Stephen Hawking's was about his mind. Hugh Hefner's were about his desires. And some of you ladies, you say, well, that's a man problem. Listen to me. You have no idea, ladies, how this guy has impacted and affected your life. Every time you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see, every time all you can see is your flaws, what's wrong with you, it's because of this guy. He created a picture of a woman that is unattainable. And even if you can attain it, it's only for a moment, because then you age out, and there's another playmate from another month and another year. And he put women on a treadmill that wears them out and turned them into objects. That's the story of his life. Listen to me, ladies, you don't think you're ugly because of God, but it might be because of him. And guys, don't even get me started of what he's done to your life and my life. I found one of his magazines in the 2nd grade on my elementary school playground. His desires warped mine, changed mine, caused me to begin to look at women as objects instead of sisters and princesses of the one true King. That's his story. That's his legacy. Listen to me, dads. Did you know that Hugh Hefner wouldn't allow his own children into his house? How sad is that when your life is too dirty for your kids? What story, what legacy are you leaving? But it doesn't have to be this way. You don't have to miss it in spite of your brilliance. You don't have to follow your heart. You can choose, like another man, to follow Jesus. If you don't know who this guy is, this guy too was raised in a Christian home. But he made a decision when he was a little boy. And if you haven't made this decision, you are not a follower of Jesus. You see, you personally have to decide to become a Christian. It doesn't count if your parents are Christians. You have to decide to be a follower. And so when he was a little boy, he gave his life to Christ. And a lot of you guys don't know his story because he's lived so long, we've forgotten who he is. But did you know that when the Reverend Martin Luther King marched to challenge America's views on segregation and race and was thrown into a prison, do you know that there was a white pastor who bailed him out? In the 60s, there was a pastor raised in the segregated South, and his name was Billy Graham. Why? Because Billy didn't follow his mind, and he certainly didn't follow his heart. He was a follower of Jesus, who is a lover of all nations, all races, and all people groups. That's his legacy. That's his legacy. He forever transformed the world because he followed Jesus. Everyone's life's a story. Now, I don't know what your life is going to do. I don't know how much impact your life is going to have. I don't know how much impact my life is going to have. I don't know if they're going to make a movie about you or a TV show about you, or they're going to write an article on you in the LA Times in the day that you die. Here's all I know is that your story is going to impact the people that love you. And your story is going to lead your friends, your family to heaven or hell. So you better change it today. Some of you are so frustrated with your life. Some of you feel like you just can't get it right. You can't get a break. Some of you feel like you're cursed. What if you are? You see, old stories reveal uncomfortable truths. The story of the Bible says we're all cursed. We've all fallen short of the glory of God. And without a right relationship with Jesus, we're still under the curse and wrath of God. It might not just be a feeling. The only way you can change your story is if you change your author. Listen to me. You want to know where you're going to be in 10 years? If you're your author, you're going to be right where you are now. Chapter after chapter, page after page, poor sentence after poor sentence, that is going to be your life. You cannot change your life on your own. If you could, you would have done it.